guys, welcome back to another episode of the Chronic Chronicles. I'm your host, Lexi Halloran, and today's episode is going to be a little bit different than our usual ones. Normally, when I do solo episodes, I kind of have like a lot of prep before it because most of the time they're like informational, like I do research before, and then I have a lot of notes to keep me on track because ADHD. But today, I'm just going to talk to you guys. This episode, I really want to focus on relationships, friendships, and how chronic illness can affect those. But I think I'm going to focus more on friendships than I am going to like familial, that's right, family relationships and like romantic relationships. I recently, this past weekend, went on a bachelorette trip for one of my best friends. We've been friends for like 10 years since freshman year of college. And obviously, I had so much fun. It was such a good time. We went to Charleston. I've never been to Charleston before, and it was beautiful. I love Charleston. Like, I was really loving it, and I honestly would move there. It's really pretty. But I just feel like my body can't handle trips and like bachelorette trips the way that everyone else's can, obviously speaking, because I have a chronic illness. But I kind of want to talk about, like how that trip was for me and how I'm recovering from it, kind of how I feel like my friendships have evolved or changed, or maybe how I've like lost friends in the process of like coming to terms with my chronic illness and all of that. But first, I do want to do just like a little bit of a recap on life. I was going to do like our normal like weekly report, like where I go through and I say like what I'm reading, what I'm eating, what I'm playing, what I'm obsessing, and all of that stuff. But honestly, I just I was going through it and I could have figured out something for every single category, but I felt like I was kind of forcing it. And I just don't want to do that. I don't want to force it to give you guys like content basically on like what I'm doing. So I'm just going to be honest with you and say the things that I have things for. Um, like full transparency, I feel like I'm kind of mentally drained recently. I'm going through a pretty bad endo flare right now. Yesterday was really bad cramps, like probably a 12 out of a 10 cramps. And I'm still cramping pretty bad today. I'm at like a 7, but obviously way better than yesterday. And I'm able to like sit down and record this episode, which I was supposed to do yesterday, but I pushed it because I just was feeling awful. But anyways, I feel like I'm just kind of like burnt out and tired. And I have so many things going on and we're getting ready for like endometriosis awareness month coming up in March and I'm trying to plan a lot of really fun stuff for that. And then I had this bachelorette trip and I have my full-time job and the podcast and my small business and I just feel like I'm drowning a little bit. So honestly, I don't really have that many things for like my weekly report, like my favorites of that I'm doing. I will say I am reading a really good book. It is called Hold Please. I have to look. It's called The Good Lie by A.R. Torre, Torre. And I'm about like a quarter of a way into it. I read some of it on the plane and it's pretty good. So I'm really liking that. And eating, I think in the last episode, I talked a little bit about how I was trying to go sugar-free for like a week straight. And sugar-free as in like added sugar, refined sugar. I still ate fruit, but I just went like cold turkey for a week. I did fail twice in that week accidentally because I ate some like beef jerky from work and it had sugar in it and I didn't realize it. And then I also had one of the days I had a mocha latte from Starbucks, which 100% has sugar in it. But I mean, overall, that was pretty good for like the week. Like that's all I had. And full transparency, I really didn't feel better or worse. Obviously, it was only a week, so I need to do it longer to see if it really makes a difference, but I don't know. And I have been doing slowly kind of making like a meal plan for the next couple of weeks to reduce sugar, follow more of an AIP friendly diet. I know I've been saying that the entire time I've had this podcast, but I am like slowly working it in. I just don't think I'm the type of person that can do everything all at once. Like I just can't do that. I can't stick to it long term. Um, so I'm just slowly moving things around and like switching things out, trying to go a little bit less dairy heavy. I eat a lot of dairy. Anyways, we can get into that on a different day. But that's kind of like what I'm eating and stuff. I also have rediscovered my obsession with dates. They're so good. And like peanut butter stuffed chocolate covered dates with a little sprinkle of sea salt on it. I love those so much. I go through like phases where I make them for like 3 weeks straight and I eat like a bunch of them and then I don't touch them for like 3 months and then I do it again. So I've been really into that again. And then I also made like Girl Scouts Samoa like dupes with dates. I can post that on Instagram. Maybe I'll do that later today because I think I'm gonna make more of those. But it has like coconut flakes in it and they're really good. So yeah, that's kind of the fun stuff that's been going on. I did do 30 days of reformer Pilates and yoga, and I think I only missed like 5 days, so I did like 25 out of the 31 days in January, which is actually pretty crazy. Like normally I can't get myself to work out that much. And guess what, guys? I didn't lose any weight. Not that, I mean, I am kind of trying to lose weight. It would be nice, but I'm really just like trying to be healthier and like I've been searching for workouts that don't flare me, and I don't think I really got any flares from the like Pilates reformer Pilates in general, which was really exciting for me. The problem is that my membership for the month of January was like a Christmas present and it was a lot cheaper, but the monthly memberships now are quite expensive and that is just not in the budget. It's not in the budget. So, trying to figure out how to continue doing those workouts because I really liked them, but not paying $300 a month because that is just absolutely insane. So maybe like at home mat Pilates instead of reformer Pilates, although I really liked it. I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. But I guess that's kind of my weekly report. I didn't do all of the categories, but those are the ones that I had actual answers for without like pushing myself to find something. And yeah, so kind of like I said a little bit ago, this past weekend I was traveling. I went to a bachelorette party, and it's just hard. Like traveling in general almost always flares my endometriosis. Like I will not have any bloating, and then put me on an airplane, and after we take off, I am like endo belly 100%. I look 3 months pregnant and I'm cramping and I'm in pain. And I also like TMI, but get constipated when I travel. So it's just not a fun experience. And it always makes, especially like shorter trips, like this was only, I flew out Thursday, flew all day Thursday, was in Charleston Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, and then flew back Sunday. So there wasn't like enough time for my body to like re I don't know, like go back to normal. So pretty much the whole time I was in Charleston, I was in an endo flare and was bloated and constipated and having cramps and having headaches because I was drinking a shit ton of alcohol. And it was just like not good. Granted, like no one on the trip knew that because I tried to keep, I mean, other than like there were 11 girls and like three of them are my really close friends. So like they kind of knew, like I told them about it, but I mean, obviously, I'm, pretty far into this endo journey and I can hide it pretty well from the public. So, like in public. Not that I not that I should have to. I could have told everybody and I'm sure it would have been fine, but I just didn't want to like dampen the mood on anyone. And I don't know. I know it sucks that I'm even saying that because I feel like people are going to be like, no, 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 like you don't dampen the mood. Like you're chronically ill, it's fine. And I agree. Like I preach that every day to you guys and to other people. But then it's like when I'm in the situation myself, I just feel like shit. And I don't want to like be a burden on anyone or be like, hey, so sorry, I'm not gonna go as hard tonight, or I'm not gonna like go out on one of the three nights that we have on the bachelorette party because I'm cramping and I'm in pain. Like I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to be in it, but like my body just hates it. So, anyways, I even like the first day of traveling, my flight took off at like 9 a.m. or something out of Seattle, and it's a really long flight. It was like a 6 to 6.5 hour flight from Seattle to Charleston. Thankfully, it was direct, but that's a really long flight. And one of my really big symptoms with endo, especially when I'm having a flare and I'm like bloated, is that I have to pee like every 30 to 45 minutes, like literally, no joke. So, originally I had a window seat because I normally I do aisle seats because I have to pee so much and I don't want to like annoy people. But I was really tired and I was like, okay, I think I'm just gonna do a window seat because it's such a long flight and I'm gonna try to sleep. Thankfully, the people were really nice and they switched with me so I could have the aisle seat because when I got on the plane, I was like, I'm gonna have to pee every 30 minutes because even like waiting to board my flight, I had to pee a bunch. So I'm like, this is not going to be fun. So thankfully they were nice and I got the aisle seat and I did have to pee so many times on that flight. I'm like, and then I'm in my head and I'm like, are people looking at me like she's going to the bathroom so much? They probably didn't even notice. But of course, that goes through my head. And I also was having like extremely high cramping my entire flight. So I didn't get a lick of sleep. Um, I did try to like edit one of the podcast episodes for a little bit while I was on the flight to like distract myself, but then looking at all of that and like trying to do work on my laptop made me nauseous because we also had turbulence. So, on top of my bloating, cramping, now I'm nauseous. I have to pee like every 30 minutes and I can't sleep. And I didn't have like my Zofran prescription wasn't refilled in time for me to pick it up before I had to leave for my trip. So it was just like not good. I had Dramamine, I took Dramamine, but it never really works that well for me. So it didn't really do anything. And I felt like absolute shit. And then finally like landed and I landed at like 5:30 and we had dinner at 7 p.m. So I basically had to like hurry up, get to the Airbnb and like get ready to go to dinner. Tell me why putting jeans on after I've been on a flight for 6.5 hours and I'm like bloated is literal torture. Like literal torture. That was awful. So then I'm also like having like I realize that this whole episode is going to sound like I'm complaining, and I'm really not. I'm just like venting. If any of my friends hear this, I love you and I had so much fun on the trip. So please just skip ahead. But I seriously, I really did have so much fun. It was such a good time. I would 100% do it again. I loved every minute of the trip. I just was in pain. Anyways, with that caveat, I literally went to put my jeans on. And I was like, haha, these are not gonna button. I am so bloated. Like, what? And all my friends are gorgeous. And I'm just like, this sucks. Like, I'm in like a bodysuit and jeans, which everything is tight. And I can like barely button my jeans, like, can't breathe. And then we had to go to dinner like that and drink and everything. And I was just like, this is so hard. And I was feeling so self-conscious about like my body and the way that I looked. And I'm sure nobody even noticed, but like it was so difficult for me to like go do all of that. And then we go out to dinner, and I'm just like trying to tell myself, like, stop worrying about my body, just have a good time, like, blah, blah, blah. So we did that. Like, my friend and I split nachos. I really couldn't eat that much of it, even though I was really hungry, but it just felt like my body was going to explode. I was like, I can't. And then we had a couple pictures of margaritas. I actually drank quite a bit of margarita because for some reason in my head, I was like, maybe if I just drink and get like tipsy, that I'll like forget that my body looks like this. Like, I don't know. I don't know, bad. But that's what I did. And I actually had a really good time that first night. Um, I don't normally like get drunk anymore. I do like have a cocktail every now and then or have like wine or something, but normally it's like one or two and like that's it. And I'll get like tipsy, but I don't get like drunk. I don't like let myself get drunk because the consequences of that are really awful. But I did that night. And I was just like, everybody's having so much fun. Like, I want to have fun. Like, I want to do all these things. And I just was like, I'm not going to let my body be in charge of like my weekend. So I just made bad choices and I got pretty drunk and had so much fun that night. Like, I just felt like me. It felt like I was having fun like I did before endo really like took over my life. And I felt like myself, like I felt funny. I felt like everybody was like having such a good time. Like my best friends and I were having such a good time and we were so like giggly and laughy and happy. And then like when we went to bed that night, I just was in so much pain. Like I was spinny, I was dizzy. I was still so nauseous, like I had been the entire night from the plane. My cramps were horrible. I was bloated, like I slept horrible that night. Um, and then the next morning we like got up and went to brunch and everything. And it just like never stopped. Like all of those symptoms carried on through the entire weekend. And I just never really felt better. So it was just really hard. And then like everybody, like when you go on these trips, like ev everything revolves around like your outfits. Like you want to have cute outfits and you want to take cute pictures and like do all this stuff. And I felt so awful in my body, like symptom wise. And I just felt like I looked awful. Like I did not look cute. I didn't look like everyone else. And I was just like, I didn't want to be in the pictures because of how I felt. Like I would see pictures and I'd be like, oh my fucking God. Like I cannot believe that I look like that. Which is a horrible feeling to have. And of course, like very Debbie Downy. And I was trying so hard not to be that. So like all of these thoughts were like in my head, but I wasn't speaking them. Because I've had an experience like in the past. Like we went to Jamaica for one of my other really good friends' bachelorette parties back in August, and I like said those thoughts out loud. I was like, I don't like the way that I look in this bikini. Like, I don't really want to take a bunch of pictures. Like, I'll take pictures of you guys, but I don't want to be in them. And my friends were basically like, you're fine. Like, you look great. And they were trying to like make me feel better, but it just wasn't like I don't believe them. So it was just really, really hard. I was trying not to be that way towards my friends this time, so I just kept it all in my head and, like took the pictures. Like I was in them, but then I was only in like two and I was like, okay, I'll like take pictures of everyone else and I just kept it all in my head. And it was really hard. And I just I just feel like endometriosis has destroyed my body and destroyed my mental health and like the way that I view, I'm not gonna cry. The way that I view my body, and I just miss the way that I was before. And especially like as I get older, like it's really hard to um like your body changes as you get older anyways, and I feel like I'm dealing with that plus like endo and like not being in control of what my body does or like what my symptoms are, and it just really sucks. And like going on, hold on, I need a second. going on trips like these are so much fun, and it should only be fun. And I'm over here dealing with like a whole ass mental health crisis and like physical health, like chronic illness, and nobody even knows because I feel like I just have to like be happy and like nobody really gets it. And it's just really, really hard. And I feel like it's hard on my relationships too, because I don't want to be a Debbie Downer and I don't want to be seen as complaining 24/7 about what's going on. And I just feel like people are like, oh, like, Lexi had endo symptoms this weekend or she, whatever, like thinks that she looks fat, blah blah blah, and like, and then people are like, "You're not fat," and I'm like, "I know, I do know that, like, whatever, I know that I'm not fat, but like my body doesn't look like what my body normally looks like, and it's just so frustrating." And there's nothing I can do about it. It's not like I can drink a peppermint tea. Like one of my friends was like, "Oh, I drink peppermint tea for bloating." And I'm like, thank you so much for the tip, but like that's not going to do anything for me. That's literally not, I mean, it helps to the smallest amount, but like it's not going to take my endo belly that's making me look 3 to 4 months pregnant back down to my normal stomach. Like that's just not going to happen. And then I have to be in like these tight outfits the entire weekend. And granted, I know I don't have to be like I could have worn other things, but like that's what everyone else was wearing and I wanted to match the vibes. It just sucks. I don't know. Thankfully, like on the plane and everywhere else, like I bring a lot of like pain relief products. Like I had the some days cramp cream that I was just like lathering on the entire trip. I know I've talked a lot about some days before, but like literally thank God that I had some days cramp cream to just slather on 24/7. Like, oh my God. I seriously was in the, like at brunch, I went to the bathroom and then just sat there and like undid my bodysuit and my jeans and rubbed on some days cramp cream. And then I just like stood there for a solid 5 minutes and like breathed with my pants undone before I had to go back out in public. Like, it's so hard. I don't know. I don't know if this is if other people like feel this way or what, but I try to be like pretty open and honest about my symptoms, but I feel like in situations like that when there's just like so many people and everyone is having such a good time, I feel like I can't like unbutton my pants or like wear like leggings or yoga pants or something that would be a little bit more comfortable because like we're all doing all these things together and I don't know. I just feel like a lot of people don't fully grasp what it's like to live with chronic illness and what it's like to be, especially on weekends like that. Like, I don't think anybody was grasping how much nausea or pain or bloating I was in. And like, my bloating that makes me look like that, I borderline can't even breathe. Like, I am so bloated that when I can't even take a full deep breath, it's just so hard. And then I tried to just like forget about it all weekend, which is borderline impossible, but I really, really tried. And I tried to just like drink and have fun. And honestly, was probably drinking more than I should have for the wrong reasons because I was trying to just like dull it a little bit, which I like never do, but I definitely did. And and I don't know, I just and then like the aftermath of like drinking and not getting enough sleep and going like full speed for like 5 days basically, including travel days, and having like little to no downtime is just not possible for somebody with a chronic illness. Like I have now been home for 3 days and I am not recovered. Like I feel just so run down. I feel like I have a cold. I've had a low grade fever for the past 3 days since I've been home. And I'm like getting sick now because I pushed my body way too far. And everybody else, was obviously tired when they got home, but now they're fine. Like they're back at work and they're living life and everything is totally fine. And I'm over here like I think I need more days to recover. Like I need to sleep more. Last night I went to sleep at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. and I woke up at 8 a.m. Like my body is so upset with me. And now I've been in an endo flare for 5 days minimum. No, just kidding. 8 days. Today's day 8 of having an endo flare. And it's like not letting up. Like I I just I don't think that people fully understand how hard it is to do like fun things or normal things and then like go back to normal life. Outside of like that, I've had moments where like people have assumed that I was canceling plans because I didn't feel like going out, but in reality I was in like a lot of pain. And I know that a lot of us can feel guilty for saying no or like needing accommodations. And I definitely force myself to push through social events like this last weekend when in reality, I think I could have like said that I need to like go back to the house and like take a nap for a while and people wouldn't have been upset. And one of the days I did do that, but like two of my friends also wanted a nap. So I felt like I was like, okay, there's three of us napping. Like this is good. But even that, I laid in bed for 2 hours and I slept for maybe 30 because I was in so much pain that I like couldn't fall asleep. And like the hangovers, when you have a chronic illness, holy shit. Awful. Absolutely awful. I also like the day that I went back and took a nap for the 30 minutes or whatever. I used one of the Octavia CBD suppositories. I've talked about them before, but they are really my go-to when I'm in like excruciating pain. Side note, I don't if you guys are watching on video, like I am so like red. Like my whole face, I feel like red and like warm to the touch. I just do not feel good, guys. Not feeling good. But I'm like watching my face on this camera and I feel like it's getting like warmer and warmer. Anyways, I've talked about the Octavia CBD suppositories before and how they have like 150 milligrams of broad spectrum CBD, and obviously they're internal, so they work like right at the source. Thank God that I brought a couple of those with me on this trip because I needed those. Like those gave me a little bit of relief when I like in the middle of the day, so that way I could like kind of keep going. Thank God. Oh my gosh. Also, on the way back from the bachelorette trip, uh, Sunday, my flight wasn't until 6 p.m. and everyone else's flights were at like noon or 1. So I ended up going to the airport with everybody at like 10 a.m. I mean, I obviously had the option to like stay in Charleston and just kind of like bop around by myself. And I just told everybody that I would go with them to the airport because it was like easier than like lugging around my suitcase, which was half of the reason. Because honestly, I didn't want to walk around Charleston with a suitcase and like a backpack and stuff. Like that didn't seem enjoyable to me. But also, like the other real big reason that I wanted to go to the airport early was just because I could like sit there and I felt like I needed to sit somewhere. I like my body could not possibly walk around Charleston like all day again. Like I needed to just sit somewhere. So I ended up getting like a day pass it was like pretty cheap actually, but to like the airport lounge in Charleston, and then I could like sit in a comfortable chair and just like rest. Obviously, I couldn't sleep. I'm at the airport, but I was there literally from like 10:30 a.m. until 6:30 when my uh, flight took off, and then had that super long flight back again. And then somehow, like the planning on this, I don't know, with the world, it snowed in Seattle. So then landing, we had to like do a couple circles before we could land. And then we sat on the tarmac for a solid hour, hour and a half, waiting for a gate. So I was supposed to be home at like 10:30 p.m. and I didn't get home until like 1 a.m. And then I had to go to work the next day, like in office, which I work hybrid, so mostly from home. But of course, that was one day I had to go into the office. Yeah. So my body has just been like taking hits nonstop for the past week. Thankfully, we're like kind of getting to, I can breathe a little bit more now towards the end of the week. But my body is still like very much paying for it. And I just think it's absolutely insane that I have been in an endo flare for this many days with like literally no break. How I just think it's crazy that I'm out of town for a couple days and it takes this long for my body to recover. And I feel like other people with chronic illnesses probably relate to that. I kind of want to talk a little bit about how I kind of did advocate for myself like on this trip, but also like in ways that you could do better or I could have done better. So like I said, I just was really like going through it this past weekend like on this trip and I felt like I didn't want to like burden anybody and I really did feel like I had to kind of just keep it into myself the entire weekend. And again, like that nobody necessarily I made myself feel that way. Like nobody else made me feel that way. They're all really great people and really nice and they would have been supportive if I would have told them. I just like didn't I just felt like a burden anyways. Like even I put it on myself and I just wanted to keep up with everybody and I wanted to like pretend like I was totally fine and healthy and I was having pretty bad FOMO. Like I didn't want to miss out on anything. I wanted to stay up until 3 a.m. with everybody. I wanted to wake up at 8 or 9 a.m. and get bagels with people. Like, but it's just when you do those things, your body just really regrets it. And I definitely am feeling that still. And I feel like I talk so much about like pacing yourself and telling people what you need and setting boundaries when you're on like trips or anything like that. So that way you can enjoy everything so that because your body can adjust and keep up with things. And I'm not perfect. Like I did everything the opposite of what I preached this entire weekend. Um, like I always say that you can say no without guilt. You can say, I'm not feeling good and I need to rest. And like people, your friends like will support you in that. And I just, God, my brain would not allow me to do that this weekend. Like it just wouldn't. So I really pushed myself way, 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 way too far. So yeah, I guess I'm just here to tell you that it happens to the best of us. I don't know. I'm here to tell you that I didn't listen to my own advice this weekend and I'm still paying for it multiple days later. And that sometimes we have to remind ourselves that it's okay to miss a couple of things for the greater good of the weekend. Like, I kind of wish I would have like missed brunch and just like slept in and taken a nap or um like chosen different foods that I knew would have like helped my body a little bit more than like the foods that I ate because, like I wanted to. So that way I could have maybe enjoyed the weekend a little bit more with a little bit less pain. It can be really hard when you go on a trip with no one else that has a chronic illness. And I feel like a lot of my friends don't have chronic illnesses, and a lot of them obviously like try their best to understand, but might not ever understand fully like what happens in those times or like what's going on in my brain. And it can also be really, I just try to have a variety. Like, even on that weekend, I was texting a couple of my friends that do have chronic illnesses and venting to them about like what I was feeling and like regretting what I did to my body and then just like hearing that they completely understand and they've been there and tips on how to feel a little bit better. That is so helpful and that was so helpful to have like this past weekend when I felt a little bit just like I don't know what to do. So yeah, having other Spoonie friends has seriously changed my life and there's something so healing about knowing that You just don't have to explain yourself all the time. And even with my friends that don't have chronic illnesses, like finding friends that just get it and surrounding yourself with people who are willing to try to understand it. And like I said, like my three really close friends that were also on the trip, I did, tell them a little bit about what's going on. And they obviously are supportive and tried to understand and make me feel a little bit better, especially when I was like feeling like shit about being in clothes that I felt uncomfortable in. I guess that's kind of everything I had to say for today. This was just kind of like my little vent session, and I'm hoping slash not hoping because I don't know, I don't want anyone to like feel the way that I felt, but I'm hoping that this does resonate with some of you and that I'm not just complaining for this entire episode. Also, not hoping that this resonated with you because I it's not fun to feel that way. So, it's a fine balance, but anyways, I know that this was a shorter episode. I just need to get through this flare. And I just wanted to talk about like what was on my brain and on my heart. And yeah, if anyone ever wants to talk about anything like this, feel free to reach out to me like over email or message me on Instagram at Chronic Chronicles Pod. I always love to talk with you guys and just like talk through things that are going on and how we're feeling. And yeah, I just love you guys so much. And I continually feel so uplifted and supported by all of you. And I hope that you feel the same way from me. And if you don't, or if there's anything that I could do better, please don't hesitate to reach out or leave a review or rating or anything on these episodes. I would love to hear more about how I can make this community stronger and better. And I just appreciate and love you all so much. Also, with Endometriosis Month coming up, in March, I will be releasing like 10 episodes in the month of March, mostly related to endometriosis and like personal stories of other people. Probably shorter episodes since there will be so many, but that's kind of the exciting news coming from March is that we're going to have 10 episodes. Crazy, crazy, crazy girl. Um, Also, I will definitely talk more about this probably next week or the following week in the episodes, but just so you guys can like mark your planners, we are doing an in-person event again in Seattle this time. We did an event back in September in Portland, a community event, and Endometriosis M and Disabled Emma and Taylor, who I will also like link their RSVP link, but they're hosting an event March 1st in Portland, and I'm hosting an event March 15th in Seattle. Both events are sponsored by Some Days, which we love. We talk about them all the time, and they're just an amazing company with amazing products and amazing initiatives, and they're created by somebody who has endometriosis. So I felt like partnering up with them for an in-person event in March would just be like the perfect pair. But at both of our events, both at Taylor and Emma's event in Portland on March 1st and my event in Seattle on March 15th, Some Days will be there with their period pain simulator. Ah, that's gonna be so cool. I'm so excited. My event will have a couple of things going on. Like I said, we'll talk more about it in the next like 2 weeks, so that way you guys can get more information. But there's going to be a lot of stuff going on. It's going to be really fun. I'm so excited, and they're definitely geared towards endometriosis awareness. I'll have more information soon, and I'll also have like RSVP and like tickets and all that stuff on the Instagram page. So, again, if you're not following the Instagram, go follow it at Chronic Chronicles Pod because a lot of that information will be on there. And then I have a couple of other surprises happening in March for endo awareness that I can't talk about yet, but I'm so excited. So just know that a lot of big things are coming up and I'm so excited. And yeah, fingers crossed that this endo flare leaves my body ASAP because I need my energy back. I got a lot of things to plan for y'all. I got a lot of things. So, anyways, thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Chronic Chronicles pod, and I will talk to you again very, very soon.